I live in California.
California. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Welcome. I'm just going to put up a little instructions to start. I can say them out loud. There's just a few of us on now, but I want them up as people join to see this. So in the chat, we're asking folks to put their like actual names and where they're from. And then change your name in the box under your picture square to answer the following question. What food did you make sure you stockpiled? And to keep your name, but then also write what it is. So I gave you an example, which I will do right now to myself. Hold on, rename. So I'm going to keep my name, but I'm also going to put what I stockpiled beforehand. So now you can feel free to call me Cookies. Please don't call me Cookies.
Oh.
And if you need more instructions on that, let me know if you've never changed your name before. Ooh, chickpeas. Yeah, I've eaten a lot of chickpeas too. Tova, what are you stockpiling?
I'm thinking. I don't know.
And also,
ordinary.
please put your name in the chat. Also, your name and where your synagogue or institution or whatever in the chat as well. We just want to make sure we capture everyone's information, that we know who was here, so we can follow up with you. So, terrific. If you're just joining us, please take a look at the screen and do what it says. There are two things to do when you log on.
Oh, Falls Church, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Virginia.
Yeah.
Where in Virginia?
So my parents were, I went to high school in like the Tidewater, Virginia area toward Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, but I was in college at Longwood College. It's now Longwood University. I had a friend from Falls Church.
Cool.
So Sherry, just so you know, you've been on, and I can see that you're on, but we don't see you. I don't know if that's intentional. If it is intentional, oh, there she is. Okay, just for people who needed help turning on cameras, so I'm just offering.
No problem. Do you want us to mute?
If you're in a noisy place, yes. If you're not in a noisy place, it's fine with me for you not to be muted.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I personally, this is like completely like Pam Barkley's like thing. You can ask anyone in my organization. I like when people aren't muted because you have natural reactions to things that someone says, and otherwise you don't hear them. And it makes me feel more like we're in a real meeting space together, which I think is a good idea, particularly at this time, let alone at other times. And so obviously if there's noise in your background, if there's, kids who need whatever, like, yes, mute, of course. But other than that, I go into, because I work virtually anyway, I personally go into all my virtual meetings with not muted, because I feel like it's like walking into a meeting like this with, I don't know if you can all see me, but like with my mouth covered, which seems like a weird way to walk into a meeting, but this is just like my thing. So anyway, thank you everyone. I hear doorbells, so I know folks are logging on. If you can please follow the instructions that should be up on your screen, which is to put your name and organization in the chat. If you don't know how to access chat, just speak up. And then to change the name in the box under your picture square to answer the question, what food did you stockpile? Did you make sure you stockpiled? If you don't know how to change your name under your square, because it's a fun thing to know how to do and to use with teens actually, you right-click your name under your square and select rename, and you can name yourself anything you'd like. In this case, we're asking you to keep your real name, but also add first the name, the food you stockpiled. So if you're looking through the names of the participants right now, you see we have Pop Chips Jen Anolik, we have Chicken Gail, we have Cookies Pam, right? You can see that there's, funny names going on because we're titling ourselves after a food product, but that's totally fine. So if you can all do that, that would be great. Oxford comma? What is that?
Very
Can you hear
cute.
me? It's from
Ice cream, Stacy. Terrific. Hello, chocolate. Hello, Alan Pasta.
Hello.
Hello.
We're just waiting a few minutes as people log on. I hear the doorbell ringing, so we want to let everybody in.
Well, it's just because you're so popular, Sarah.
Ooh, dark chocolate is joining us. I want to know who dark chocolate is.
Do you think, gosh?
Okay. For those of you who are not up on video at the moment, if that's by choice, totally fine, because you've got things going on in your world. If that's because you're not sure how to get the video camera on, please speak up and we can help you do that. Just so you know, there will be things that we're using for the screen, and we're going to ask you to use the screen. So at some point you may need to actually do a visual, just letting you know. In the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing so we have all the squares in front of us because it's more fun that way. I'm hoping you're seeing, however, I can't, math is not my thing at the moment. However many squares we need, that we have them all. If you are not seeing whatever it is, 20-something squares in front of you, the very top right corner, there's speaker view or gallery view. You're going to be looking at one word or the other. Switch it, and you'll see what that does to the view that you're seeing everybody in. That make sense?
Yeah.
All right. One last time, if you haven't yet, please, even if you're not on video, please put your name and organization in the chat so we know you were here and we can follow up with you. And if you want to, because it's fun and it's just another one of these like fun practice tips, to add to your name underneath the square of your picture, the food you have stockpiled in preparation. What did you stockpile in preparation for this delightful quarantine we're under? For those of you just logging on, that's why you are seeing things like cookies, Pam Barkley, and matzah and espresso, Julia. It's not because that's her normal name, it's because that's what she stockpiled. So,
Although I am a ball of energy. Let's be honest.
True that, true that. So I'm sure there are going to be people logging on as we keep going, which is totally fine. Want to just get us started. So my name is Pam Barkley, not cookies. I am really glad to see all of you here to sort of learn a little bit more about how to turn our curriculum into an online learning platform. I am joined by Espresso Julia Wave, so they know where you are. And by Jen Anolik Pop Chips over there, Wave, so they know where you are, who will be co-facilitating this with me. As well, I want to give a shout out to the amazing, wonderful Sarah Fox for organizing all of this and moving this as quickly as possible. As some of you may know, this is actually the second time we're offering this. There were so many people who wanted it, and some people couldn't come the first time, so we decided to offer it again. And we will keep doing this until we have helped everyone we can help. So a little bit about what this is and what this isn't. So this is not everything about technology and how to use every technological piece of Zoom. There are a lot of people out there doing that. And in addition, it is, there are Zoom tutorials that we'll talk to you about at the end. This is particularly about how to think creatively about curricular pieces of our curriculum. Will that adapt to any curriculum any of you are in charge of at this particular moment? Oh, why, yes, it will. We're focused on the kinds of things we do in our curriculum and how to use those online, and then you're going to take it and do with it however it works best. So that's what we're focused on. But a note, this is not your last chance with us. If you want more help, if you need more help, if there's specific questions, if you've got a particular session that you are looking to turn into online and we didn't cover how to creatively do that online, at the end of this, you're going to get a survey that will ask you, do you need more help with something specific? say yes. And we will get it. Someone will get in touch with you so we can provide you with the support you need in real time for when you need it. If you're running a particular Rosh Hodesh group, Shevet, whatever it is you're running. At the moment, I'm going to ask, because I hear there's some noise coming in, people are saying, if you are not in a place that's totally quiet, so please do mute yourself. Obviously, we're going to unmute at different points to speak. Always feel free to unmute yourself to speak, because this is supposed to be a conversation a little bit, but we have some things we want to get through as well.
And the mute button, I just want to pop on and
go ahead,
say,
go ahead.
the mute button, if you hover over with your mouse or your trackpad toward the bottom left, you should be hovering over, and there's the option to mute. If you just click that, and there's a red line that goes through. You'll be muted.
And one more thing, if you just have a word that identifies what you're stockpiling in your name, if you can also add your actual name so we can confirm that you were here. So Chocolate, I know who you are. Stacy. Thank you, Judith. And then anybody else who's on my second screen, which I haven't seen.
She's not on camera, but I think Tara Lemon Drops is such a great name. Like, that's like a nice name.
I know who Tara Lemon Drops is, so.
Okay, I'm going to call her Tara Lemon Drops from now on, personally. Okay, so with that, I'm turning it over to Jen. Anolik, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I know many of you, and there's some of you that I'm meeting for the first time. So hello, friends that I already know and new friends. So I'm going to give a little overview of some of what I think are pretty great ideas about adapting the curriculum online that we've come up with. And I want to give I want to say at the beginning that we're still evolving our thinking, and that this is an experiment and it's new for all of us, and we're excited to work with you to continue to develop our ideas. So the first thing I wanted to share is that so rituals at this time that everything feels really up in the air and ungrounded are really important. And I know I've had a few thoughts recently about, oh, well, I'm just going to throw my whole routine out the window. And I want to urge everybody to stick with the things that are comforting, that are routine, that are ritualistic. So some of you might already have a ritual that you do at the beginning of your group. For instance, if you lead a Rosh Hodesh group, you might light a Rosh Hodesh candle and say the blessing. Some of you might not have a ritual. This could be an opportunity to add something to the beginning of your group. So for instance, you could invite participants to bring their own candles to the beginning of the group and can continue saying your prayer for the new month. Or if you don't have that as your ritual, could light a candle at the beginning of your group as well. And other things that you could do is show something in your room to bring everybody together kind of into the same space. So for instance, oh yes, okay. So backing up a little bit, I mentioned the prayer for the new month. So this is a way of showing a candle. You can show a candle on your screen or invite people to bring a candle of their own. And when you're singing the blessing, the singing on Zoom is a little bit awkward. It could be a little bit awkward. I invite you to lean into that awkwardness. It's an opportunity to build resilience and to be silly together. It's important to embrace that. So I'm not going to invite everybody to sing together because I think it'll be a little bit cacophonous, but I invite you to try it on your own. You could also invite people to mute and then sing in their own space if that feels better for them. All right, fast forwarding a little bit, to bring people feeling like they're in the same space. What I've done a couple of times is invited people to share something in their space. So for instance, I could share the pictures that are on my wall and give a little bit of a story behind them. Other people are sharing a meme at the beginning of the group, something funny that they've seen over the past month, or a funny icebreaker question like what food are you stockpiling? With one of my groups, I invited everybody to change their name to their favorite feminist, which was which yielded a lot of people who were Ally Raismans and RBGs and Beyoncés, which was really inspiring to see on Zoom. All right, a more logistical thing is that it's pretty easy for teens to check out when they're meeting online. It's easy for adults to check out also. So I'd invite you to have a conversation at the beginning of your group about mitigating distractions. Some people, when they're in person, will use the cell phone tower where they'll stack all of their phones. An option is to invite people to put their phones away in a drawer, enter full screen mode on Zoom, or to invite everybody to join on a computer. Sometimes when teens join on phones, there's often texts that pop up that can be distracting. So joining on a computer allows those distractions to be put away. In terms of timing, 2 hours is a really, really long time for anybody to stay focused on Zoom. So we recommend that you adjust the time of the material. I'd recommend no longer than an hour to an hour 15 minutes, and take breaks. Monitor the group, see how everybody's looking. If people are moving around a lot and look like they're detached, maybe take a break, or maybe decide to end a little bit early. Like we asked you, invite people to mute themselves if they're in a noisy area. But also, as Pam mentioned at the beginning of the call, it's really nice to hear people's natural reactions to things, like to hear people laughing if in response to something that somebody said, and all of those natural sounds like gasps and giggles they help to make the space feel more in person. So popcorn responses, which are when people are responding whenever they feel compelled to, don't work as well on Zoom as they do in real time. So some alternatives are to call on participants. There's a raise your hand function, which you can find at the bottom of Zoom. If you click on participants, if you hover over your name, you can see there's a little raise hand button that if you click on it now, you can check it out. Yeah, I see that Chickpeas Jojo raised her hand. Another way of doing this is asking participants to call on the next participant. If you're doing something like roses and thorns at the beginning of a group, sharing one great thing that's happened over the past month and one challenging thing is that each person could call on the next participant who's going to go. And also, this is all also ways to prevent some awkward silences, but awkward silences are okay, especially on technology on this new platform. There's going to be more silence, so I invite you to embrace the silence. Oh yes, thank you, Dark Chocolate Toby mentioned that that the controls are sometimes on different, either at the top instead of the bottom, or at the bottom instead of the top, depending on what type of device you're using. There's a lot of videos in the curriculum, which tend to lend very well for a screen, which is exciting. It's important to know that in order to share a video so that everybody hears the sound, there's a particular procedure on Zoom that you need to follow. And Pam is going to show us. So
when you go to share a video, you click share just like you normally would. And at the very bottom, there is a little square that says share computer sound. If you don't click share computer sound, then no one's going to hear the sound that's going in your computer. So I'm going to share a video with you all right now, one of the ones from our curriculum. Hold on, I have to move you all over. And we have a lovely Budweiser commercial that I assume you all, no talking yet, but. Woo! I'm there all day. You all can hear that? Woo! Thumbs up if you can hear it. Woo!
Hold my beer.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay, so hold my beer. I'm going to pause.
Yeah. And there, I'll note that, so it's important to practice this a few times ahead of time. And it's also just like I said before, there's things that sometimes go wrong online, and it's an opportunity to model imperfection to your group. Like it's a really great lesson to show teens that when faced with difficulty, it's okay to say, like, I'm just learning this for the first time, and to show them that you're learning along with the rest of them. It's a powerful lesson.
Yes. I just want to answer. So yes, I started with share. The green button at the very bottom says share. You can all click on it right now. You're not going to share anything, but you can all click on it. And at the very bottom of that share, before you do anything, there are two little boxes, and one of them says share computer sound. You want the share computer sound button to be checked. And that's how your video will be broadcast through your computer.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. Another thing I wanted to share was that we have all this curriculum on our website.
Alan, please stop screen sharing.
Oh yeah. So that's another thing. If you want to invite participants to share their screens, it's another way of allowing people to take on leadership and actually be the person that drives what everybody's seeing on the screen.
Okay, so, but I want to note that, because someone asked this question, is that a moderator or host, which is the Zoom language, you're the host. That is not a moderator or host only function, as we could just see, because Alan shared his screen and he's not hosting this. But as the host, I could stop him from sharing. So you have control.
You literally have. I had the option to press pause or stop. So I could have stopped it, and Pam could have stopped it, and Jen could have stopped it at any moment.
So it won't be chaos.
Yeah. So like we say, even when you're in in-person groups, sometimes the curriculum is just not going to work for many different reasons, whether it's because the teens' minds are elsewhere, because it's just not the right time to have a particular conversation, or because something comes up. This could be one of those times where, we just don't, the curriculum itself might not work for your group. So some of the things that we've been thinking about in terms of adapting it are, one thing that you can do is, there's a plugin on Chrome that's called Netflix Party, which I'm going to share my screen and show to all of you. So this is a way of staying engaged with teens while kind of going apart from the curriculum a little bit. So this is, you can't actually see what this is, but it's the beginning of Dumplin'. So one thing that you could think about doing is, and this plugin allows people to all watch a film together and chat while they're watching it. So you could share a full-length movie or a TV show, maybe like Big Mouth, and then take some of the questions from the friendship or relationship sessions and lead a discussion. And it's a different way of leading a group, but one that somebody suggested Mean Girls too. Yeah, that's a great idea. So I'm sure everybody has some films and TV shows in your repertoire that you could think of right away that you might use with your groups, and you can be creative. In terms of art activities, some people have asked participants to gather the materials for the art activities ahead of time and bring them to the group. We've also mailed materials. That's not necessarily the best route right now, or the most health conscious route. So some of the art materials you'll have to kind of adjust based on what people might have in their homes. And the physical activities, some of the physical activities in the curriculum we do think could be adapted could be done online and with people in their different spaces. But this is also an opportunity for you to be creative, and we're happy to brainstorm with you about ways that you could adapt the material. One thing that I was talking to a Shevet group leader about recently was doing an online scavenger hunt. So you could pick a theme from one of the sessions and invite the teens to scour the web and look for videos or texts or images that connect to the theme and come back together.
I want to just address, and I don't know if anyone actually has an answer to this, is do you need to have Netflix to do this, and do they all need to have Netflix to do this? I'm pretty sure the answer to do they all is no, but I think you do, but I'm not 100% positive about that. So maybe we'll see if we can figure that out while this is going.
I will Google.
Yeah. But that's an interesting question. I'm pretty sure one person has to have the Netflix. A lot of organizations are being very kind right now about sharing resources and stuff. So it may be that Netflix Party is letting anybody in, and who cares? I'm not positive about that. We will check that out for you.
And there's also an opportunity to, if you wanted to just share your screen on Zoom and play a video or a film, just like Pam shared before, you could do that and have Zoom be an approximation of Netflix.
Everyone needs to have a Netflix account, Sarah is saying, for a Netflix party. So each individual person needs to have one. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if they will respond to mounting pressure. Let's start a campaign.
Or as Jen said, just share your screen with the
Right.
sound.
Right. Share screen with sound, and only you need to have Netflix. True.
So I'm gonna hand it over to Julia, who's going to take us into some of the specific modalities that we can and how we can adapt them for an online setting like Zoom.
Thank you, Jen. So as Jen just said, there's a lot of room for creativity. And of course, we're always happy to brainstorm with you after this call is over and really anytime. But I just want to go over some of the key modalities that we have within our curriculum, both for the B'nai Mitzvah program and for our teen groups. One of those activities is the barometer activity. It's the physical form where you are told, where you tell participants to move depending on how much they agree or they disagree, whether that's somewhere in the middle, kind of more toward agree, totally toward disagree, so on and so forth. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's where I get stuck, right? How do I replicate the physical in an online platform? And the truth is it's actually easier than you think. There is an option to do polling, and I will launch a poll in just a little bit, but I want to first cover some of the polling information and how to do this successfully. Now, there are two different types of polling that you could do. There's the gradient, which what I just mentioned is kind of agreed, disagree, strongly agree, and kind of various forms of that. Or there is what is like a multiple choice kind of question. So for example, what is your favorite flower? Lily, I'm really not good at this. Lily,
Daffodil.
camellia, daffodil, rose. Those are single choice answers. And our activities really are centered around the gradient portion of things. And you can do that by launching polls. And I'm going to launch a poll, and then Pam is actually going to show us how it's done. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. You should receive a pop-up shortly after I'm done talking, and just please answer the question. So I'm hitting launch polling. Now the question is, facilitating online is something I'm comfortable with. And you can feel free to answer this however you like. I'm not going to see any answer.
Right, it's anonymous. It's anonymous.
Totally
You're voting anonymously. So 18 people have voted. 20.
And now I'm going to click end polling, and everybody can see the answer. I'm going to hit share results. And it looks like we're about at a 50-50 split where 50% agree, and the other 50% are kind of in between.
Actually,
strongly agree.
60 agree or strongly agree. So more
Yes,
of you are
so
somewhat
more.
comfortable, which is awesome.
Yep.
My guess is if we gave you this poll a week ago, you might have felt differently, and folks are getting more comfortable as things go
Yes.
along.
And the good news is we don't have anybody that strongly disagrees. We've got some people that at 25% disagree, but hopefully toward the end of this webinar and after we follow up, you are going to be feeling more comfortable. And Pam, if you would
Yep.
launch a poll, and then we're actually going to cover agree and disagree short
Yep.
thereafter.
So, so the online polling that you just saw, obviously you could do this with any question in our curriculum, or one we just used that question for you all because it seemed like a good question for us to ask, but you could use that with any questions in our curriculum, which there are many of that are barometer activities from strongly disagree to strongly agree. The way you do polls is just first and foremost, and this is, I'm not doing the deep dive on this, there's a lot of tutorials. Polling has to be enabled for you as a host, which you do in your own account settings. I'm just going to say that so you'll know to look for that. Polling has to be enabled or else it will not pop up as an option. Right now, for me, next to the word share, I have the word polls because I have enabled it and I can then launch a poll for you all. But Zoom is weird and does not, that's not weird, I guess it makes sense. Zoom does not allow you to show the screen of what I'm sharing. So instead I've pulled up another Zoom account and that is what I'm going to share for you. So this is like, whatever. Pam Barkley has a personal Zoom account, which I'm sharing with you. And this is what another one of my meetings looks like. And here's the whole information about the meetings. Right, you're all seeing a Zoom account, yes? Okay, so if I scroll to the bottom, it's a little counterintuitive, I'm gonna be honest. If I scroll to the bottom, it says, look, you have not created any poll yet, add. And here's where I can add a poll. So instead of doing the strongly agree to disagree one, I'm gonna do one,
a single choice answer.
Yeah, a single choice one. So if you were a superhero, who would you be? And you can see I'm going to click multiple choice as opposed to single choice, right? No, I'm going to click single choice, sorry. Still single choice. And I'm going to say Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, I don't know, Superman, right? You get the point, right? And then I would save it at the bottom. Don't forget to save it. And then when I went to my meeting, that poll would be available to me on my bar of things that I can do next to the word share. Does that make sense? Next to, and launching a poll, in answer to the question, you will not get the option to launch a poll unless you have enabled it on the bottom bar on your settings. If you've enabled it, it will appear every single time, whether you've, right? It will just appear, whether you've launched a poll or not, whether you've entered one beforehand or not, you will have the option to do so. Right next to my share button, it says polls. So I can always do that.
The most important user tip here is really to set this up in advance. If you go and do it right now in the middle of this Zoom call, it will not pop up. It has to be done before everybody is on. So really with a lot of these activities, as per usual, I would say, preparation is really key, and making sure you have, there are some things that are always going to be the same, whether they're virtual or in person. Preparation is key here. And for people that are maybe not as comfortable with Zoom or don't have the polling option or whatever, there are other alternatives. Poll Everywhere is an external platform. Google Polls, which probably more people have heard about, is totally free to use. I think you just have to have a Gmail account. And all polls really are good for adding levity or checking in about how everybody is feeling, whether that's at the beginning or in the middle of the group or even after. If you're not so much, if you can't handle or don't want to dive into the polling piece, a really simple option is the thumb check. Classic, right? How do you feel, everybody? maybe in the middle, maybe like super in the middle and you're very shaky, maybe you're totally upright. That's really easy, right? No technology required there. And you get your results instantly, just like you do with any type of poll sharing. Another activity that we use often is the agree or disagree modality. I say a statement, you either agree or you disagree, right? Pam, would you show us? So that's really simple. You can have low tech. You can have your participants write it out. If you have them write out agree on one side, disagree on another side, they can literally flip it over. Pam agrees with everything I say, so she doesn't have disagree on the other side. All good. You can also, if you really wanted to get a little more high tech, have that in a PDF, send it over to them, have them print it out, and they'll have agree or disagree printed out. I mean, it's really as simple or as complicated as you want it to be, but that translates very well into going virtual, which is just the reality because of the time and the place that we're in. So those are all opportunities to learn in a way that feels less frontal and a little bit more interactive and, you know, is more fun.
Thank you, Julia. So low tech options, right? A sign or thumbs, and a higher tech option with polling, or right within Zoom or outside of Zoom. As you get more comfortable, you'll figure out what things you want to add on. Another piece of things that we do a lot in our curriculum is we ask people to respond anonymously to something, which obviously is very hard when you all have your names underneath your pictures, even if your name is now chocolate. So it's still hard to do. But on Zoom, you can do this. So again, there is something called a whiteboard. I'm going to do it with you, and then I'll tell you how I did it if you don't know. So I'm going to share a whiteboard with you all. And I'm going to write a question, maybe. Hold on. Whoop. So I have asked you a question, and it says, what is one thing you are worried about right now? And I could have asked you anything. I could have asked you what the weather is outside your door. I could ask you anything I wanted. I'm going to ask you each to respond to this question. It is anonymous, just so you're aware. I will not know who's writing what. If you don't know how to write on a whiteboard, here's how you do that. You, at the black bar, which is probably at the top of your screen, although if you're on the iPad, maybe at the bottom, you will go to the ... view options, click annotate, and then choose the T for text. And then put your cursor anywhere on the screen and type out a word. If for whoever drew the squiggly line, that you're in draw instead of text. So use the T instead of the little draw icon. The big T lets you text and type a text. And as the person who is moderating, you can see that even though these two ended up on top of each other, I can move things around so that they're not on top of each other. Okay? Right? These are going to come in on top. And that's kind of the fun of it, is that they all pop up, but just so that everyone's voice, quote unquote, is heard, we get to.
Okay, I need more instructions how to get here.
Not a problem at all. I'm assuming it's at the top of your screen. There is a black bar with a few things on it, and there should be a ... at the end, which tells you there's more to that. So click on the ... I don't know who asked the question. I just heard it.
I think it's Judith. Is it Judith that's asking?
Yes, and I'm still trying to.
You would need, Judith, you would need to hover over at the top. If you don't see anything above the video participants, you should see you are viewing cookies, Pam Barkley's screen in green. Do you see that?
Yes, I do. And then it says view options.
That's what you want to click.
I click.
Oop.
Judith
cut out, I think. Maybe
okay.
Hold on. Okay, so it says view options, but what I'm getting when I scroll down is zoom ratio, hide video panel, request remote control, exit full screen, mute cookies.
Do you have annotate?
Oh, that was somewhere else. That was weird. Okay.
That's what you need, is annotate.
Got it. Then I go text.
I see the pen, but I can't get it to write.
So you don't want to use the pen. You want to use the T for text.
Doesn't say, give me that. I'm on my phone.
Oh, to be honest, I'm not sure how this works on a phone, just perfectly honest with you. I
Okay,
don't know how
I'll go
things work
back
on
to
a phone.
myself. It's fine. I'm doing the squiggly lines. That's my problem then, but
That's
I
totally fine.
will.
The thing next to it, so just so you know, when you do this with kids, you are going to get squiggly lines because the kids don't know how to do this either. The good news is as the host, I can erase oh, I didn't mean to erase that. I meant to erase the squiggly line. I can erase a squiggly line if I want to.
Okay.
So I can get rid of that.
Hi, this is Stephanie from Moving Traditions. I actually played around with Zoom on my iPad, and so everything's a little opposite. So whereas if you're on a computer, mute's the bottom left. If you're on an Apple device, it's top right. So I think it might be the top right. There's like you see mute and like a few other things. You might see the annotate area.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Sorry if that wasn't as helpful as I intended. I just know that on a phone or tablet, everything is complete opposite from a computer screen, which makes life so easy.
So question, how did you get to the whiteboard? This is really great. How did you get there?
I'm going to explain it to you. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And it's the same. It is from the share button like everything else. If you click your share button,
where you hover over the bottom.
Hover over the bottom, at least on a computer, the green share button. One of my options is the word whiteboard. That should be one of your options too. As soon as you click share, that whiteboard will share to everybody. And then it's just a matter of asking a question or letting people respond or whatever it is. But it's literally share the whiteboard. It couldn't be easier. As the host, your control panel will look a little different than everyone else's did, right? I don't have to go to view options, annotate, like my bar is right there. But it's the same idea of a text, the T for text or the squiggly line for draw, or there's all sorts of other, you can change the color of your font. You can add little stamps with a heart, have a party. So it's a really easy modality. It gets one of the things I like about it is it gets everyone's voice in the room, so to speak, right? Everyone gets to participate, and it is anonymous. No one will know at all who responded and who said what. Someone wrote on the whiteboard something about managing, smart Alex who might try to disrupt. So yes, that is obviously a danger with a whiteboard, that if people write things on there that are just, silly, and what to do with that. It's like any classroom management issue with, the quote unquote class clown. Like I said, you do have the ability to erase those comments, and you can say, if someone writes something like this happened to have been a serious question, I'm letting you all know in advance. If someone writes something that I think is silly or insensitive, I'm going to, as your teacher, I'm going to, take the prerogative to erase that. So you could use it as an opportunity for laughter if it is something funny, right? Right. If someone wrote on that, I'm worried about not having enough cookies in the house, and it's not a serious answer, but it's not like the most distracting thing in the world. You could be like, you know what? I'm worried about cookies too. But you know what? Let's address the idea that 3 other people on this whiteboard wrote that they're worried about their families. Let's talk about that.
Basically, how do you erase on the whiteboard?
Erasing on the whiteboard, you could, as a non-host, which is what you are in this case, you can only erase what you wrote. As a host, I can erase anything anyone wrote. So just so you get the
physically,
idea.
Physically, how do you do it?
You physically, hold on.
So as you, Judith, you saw how you could add the T for text. You can also, there's an eraser option as well. Just like there's the draw option and
there it is. Okay.
There's the eraser option.
Right. But you probably only have the ability to erase what you wrote right now, but I can erase what anyone wrote.
Yeah, it's not even letting me erase what I wrote. That's interesting.
I did just write into the chat, but I wanted to let everyone know, I don't know if you heard the chime in and chime out. I did join on my phone to play around. You can't use the whiteboard tools on your phone. So if a participant joins your meeting and you try to use the whiteboard as a resource, they won't be able to actually type in. So if you want to use these tools with your groups, I would recommend having them be on a tablet or a computer. You can use the tools on a tablet.
Thank you, Stephanie. That is really important to know, to give those instructions to your students beforehand, that they will need to have a computer or a tablet. Awesome. So, okay, another way to get sort of a quick pulse of what's going on in the room that is anonymous, because again, we're trying to answer how to use anonymous things online when everyone has a picture in front of them, is something that is called Answer Garden. Answer Garden is an external platform. It is free to set up an account. It is answergarden.com, not a big deal. And I'm about to, in the chat, I have just put a link. Click on that link and you're going to see a question. For that question, I'm going to ask you to answer it. So I'm going to give everyone a minute to answer it. And just so you know, you're going to answer it and you won't see anything right away. I'm going to share my screen, but don't answer on the screen. Answer on the link from the link.
I'm lost as to where to go.
So Pam, you're muted. There is in the chat, answergarden.ch. Do you see to the right side? So you want to click that. That's an external link and it should pop up for you. And it says, what is one thing that is bringing you joy right now? And you just want to answer and click submit. And Pam is actually screen sharing now the results.
Right, so you can all see the answers that you've all said. They create sort of a little, whatever this is called, like a little word garden or something, of everyone's answers. And it's just a nice way to see what's going on for everybody. Again, it's anonymous. Every voice gets heard. Another advantage of that. Right? So we see here, we like our pets. We like movement. I'm glad this training is bringing you joy, to say the least. And so I'm going to stop sharing this and move on. Answer Garden, just another, it's a word cloud. Yes, Alan, that is what it's called. Thank you. I couldn't get that word in my head. So another small group thing you can do is breakout rooms. Just so you know, breakout rooms are only available, I believe we decided that breakout rooms, am I correct, Julia and Jen? Breakout rooms are only available in the pro version, the paid version of Zoom, just so you know.
Oh, no, that's not correct.
Opposite.
Opposite.
Opposite, yeah.
Sorry, breakout rooms are available to everybody. Don't worry about me. Zoom has a great thing of finding a great tutorial on how to use a breakout room and how breakout rooms exist, but letting you know breakout rooms are another way to create small group activities, and you as the host can pop in and out of those breakout rooms. One of the reasons we're recommending Zoom for our online curriculum and the way it works is because of the breakout rooms, because we like the idea that people can move into little smaller groups and have conversations, not just on big screens. We think that that's a really good and useful tool that only Zoom seems to have at the moment. So that's one of the reasons why we're recommending it. We're not going to pause on breakout rooms a lot. We're hoping to do another version, like a 2.0 version of this webinar that will do a longer.
Can I ask you a question about breakout room?
Sure.
So the person who really is doing moving traditions for me said that she thought that breakout rooms you needed multiple screens, like multiple monitors.
No.
But that's
Nope.
not true.
Absolutely not.
Nope, and absolutely not. You don't. You only need your monitor, and you need to put people into breakout rooms. We know there's a lot of questions about breakout rooms. Again, at the end of this, you're going to get a survey. If that's something you're interested in finding out more about, please tell us that on the survey. We're looking to develop sort of the advanced version of this webinar for like next level, and breakout rooms is on our current list of thinking that people need a deeper dive into, and if that's true, we will do that as well. But you absolutely do not need multiple screens. You need your own screen, and you need to divide up the people that are in it. I could do it to all of you right now, but that's not what we have planned, so I'm not going to do that. What I just want to point out is all of these things, whether it is the whiteboards or using the chat or changing the square, your name under your picture to famous feminist, or using an answer garden, or holding up your agree disagree signs, and all these different things. Changing the modality, changing what you're doing based on each like sort of section of curriculum is going to be just as important, if not more important, in an online format as it is in real class in real time, right? You want to switch things up. Don't like, whiteboards are phenomenal and everyone's like, oh, whiteboards, yay, I'm gonna use them for everything. If you use them for everything, they lose their magic a little bit, right? Like, right, you want to use the whiteboard sometimes, use breakout rooms sometimes, use agree disagree sometimes, use polls, switch it up as much as you are comfortable doing so. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be, right? And if something goes wrong, you say to everyone, look, something went wrong. And as Jen said at the beginning, we are modeling the idea that we do not have to be perfect. And that is something our kids really need anyway. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julia. If anyone has other questions, put it in the chat, please. And also ask us questions on the survey that you'll get when this is all over. Julia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, right? There's so much to take in. I really hope that this has been something that has been really helpful. I saw a lot of head nodding, which was very good affirmation. So now I am going to ask you to change your name to the emotion that you are feeling, or put the emotion that you are feeling into the chat. And again, if you would like to change your name, the way that you do this is you hover over your own little box where your face is, and you hit the 3 dots and the option to rename.
I'm still on the whiteboard. Was there something to do to exit it?
You've shared your own whiteboard, yes. Exit the, hold on, how do I?
There, I did. I got it.
Okay, it's not my whiteboard, it's your own whiteboard.
Oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, got it.
Yeah, you obviously were practicing, which is great.
That's awesome. So Judith, you want to just hover over the your own box where your face is at, and the 3 dots, and click rename.
Yeah, I got it.
That's for anybody.
What are we doing? I missed it.
So you just want to change your name to the emotion you are feeling, or alternatively, you can put your emotion in the chat.
I love all the emotions we got.
I know. I'm seeing determined, exhausted, relieved, appreciative, love the webinar, content, excited, energized, tired and excited, joy, Pamela Joy. It makes sense, doesn't it?
That's actually my middle name.
That is literally your middle name.
For real, like in real life.
Hopeful. I'm still espresso, which means I'm still energized, and nothing has changed here. That's so great. So I actually would like to thank you, first of all, for bringing your vulnerabilities and yourselves. I know that it can be so hard right now to carve out time, and we're so appreciative of the fact that you're here. I'd like to read a poem written by Rabbi Tamara Cohen that is actually on our staff here at Moving Traditions. For our first webinar, she was on the call to read it, and she's passed it on to me. So I'd like to read it to you. And they assembled. And Moses said, Dayam, enough, enough, enough. What is needed now is just this: to stop, withdraw, bring, do, perform, gather, no more. Let the silver glare of a silent sanctuary, the gold blue of a plainless sky, the garnet sheen of an empty concert hall be our sacred offering. Meager gifts of absence from wise and less wise-hearted people. Please God, let our ceasing be enough. Let our hospital beds be enough. Let our slow awakening to the interconnectedness of every living being be enough. Let a cloud of great stillness rest at the entrance to every home and prison. Let this plague pass over us. Enough of us. Enough. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. Take a deep breath in and then breathe it out. Notice the place where your chair connects with your legs and back and where your feet connect to the floor. Notice any sounds or smells in the space around you. Now I invite you to open your eyes and take a look around at all of the faces on your screen. As you can see, we're all physically distant from each other, but we're still very much connected. And if we were together, I'd ask us to put our arms around each other, but instead, I invite you to give yourselves a hug or grasp your hands together so that we can all feel connected. Thank you. Thank you.
Like Julia said, we're so grateful that you're all here and connected to us right now. And I'm going to take a step back and break the fourth wall and mention that what you just experienced is one example of a ritual that you might use to end your group. So sharing a poem, inviting people to share the emotions that they're feeling currently, or sharing a meditation. And this all connecting online, it can be scary. It's new. It's a transformation of how we connect. It's also, I think, really exciting. I'm really excited and hopeful for what this space can bring. And I want to mention that just showing up and being with your group and creating this space, this community is enough. It's really important. It's important to create community and be present with teens at a time when they're so distant from each other. So we're really, I'm in awe of how many people have been on these webinars, both this one and the last one, and who are spending time creating these super important communities for teens. We together are transforming the way that community occurs. The virtual space is becoming a new kind of spiritual space and community space. And we invite you to experiment and play and have fun. Having fun is really important, and find ways of finding joy in this whole process. And we would love to hear what you're piloting, what you have questions about, what you'd like to brainstorm with us about. It's helpful for us to learn what you're doing as well. It kind of goes both ways. We learn from what's working and what's not working for all of you out in the field. So I invite you to connect with us. And as folks said before, we're going to follow up with some resources and opportunities to connect and brainstorm.
The follow-up